What is up, everybody? Welcome to another therapy session. I got Mr. T with me. Mr. T, how you doing, man?
Hey, that foods. What's up?
All right, so this therapy session is going to be dealing with Marvel, the MCU, but this time the Netflix side of everything. Now, if you know anything about Marvel Netflix, we had what they were trying to do was basically do the Defenders like they did the Avengers, which for all points and purposes was hit and miss. It just depends on how you take it. But it was Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and then they brought in Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil, and he did so. John Bernthal did so well that they just like, man, we're gonna give you Punisher. So those are the 5 shows that we had for the Marvel Netflix shows. Now, there were some good things in these shows. There were some bad things in these shows. The weakest show, I think, for everybody's standards was Iron Fist, but I don't blame Finn Jones for that like most people do. I blame I blame Marvel and Netflix because I think the thing with Netflix was they wanted to make like grounded shows, and if you're gonna do grounded and gritty realism Marvel style, you did right by getting Jessica Jones and Daredevil. You did wrong by getting Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
Right.
And the reason why you did wrong with Iron Fist and Luke Cage, they are known to deal with a lot of the more action adventure side of stuff. Like they are, even though Luke does stay in Harlem and he more than likely defends Harlem, he still fights superpowered people with different abilities. Iron Fist is basically a mystical kung fu theater person. So he deals with dragons. He knows about Kamatage and Wakanda, and he knows about all these places. He deals with a more mystical side. You got to have money for mysticism.
Yeah.
So you just got to have money for mysticism or find a way to get around said mysticism. And so let's start with them. Let's start with Iron Fist, for example. First of all, they screwed over Finn Jones because they only gave him like 3 months when they hired him to train. That was not fair to anybody. That wasn't fair.
No, I mean, that was pretty obvious.
That first season,
the camera doesn't lie. The camera's going to pick it up if you're not with it. So
and the first season, it was like the best episode of the first season was episode 6 with the one that RZA directed. That was the best looking one and thankfully RZA has watched enough Kung Fu theater to kind of help the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the season, it was just it felt bad because they tried to do this whole corporate espionage and nobody cared.
Yeah. But that didn't work for me at all.
Yeah, I mean, and they had some good act. They had David Wenham, and I'm like, y'all wasted David.
What a
Wenham.
waste!
Like, you seriously wasted David Wenham. Y'all should have got somebody else instead of him if that's what y'all was gonna do with it. Now, my main issue was the Kunlun stuff.
Yeah.
They do not show Kunlun at all. And then when they tried to talk about Kunlun, they kept talking about it like it was this diverse place. Kunlun is not diverse. Kunlun is full of Asian people.
Right.
That's why the argument became before the season even started was because of the hiring of Finn Jones. And there was another actor, and I can't remember the actor's name. He was Asian. He wanted the role of Danny Rand.
Yeah.
I did not agree with that, and I didn't agree with it for a very specific reason. If you're going to have Luke Cage be black, then Danny Rand has to be white. And people looked at me when I said that like I was crazy. But why does he have to be white? Because one, it's the dynamic. It is the guy from the streets and the rich white billionaire who never really had a brother. And their friendship actually becomes one of where Danny will tell you, Luke is my older brother.
Yeah.
It's in the comics. So that's why, and you have Danny who actually likes hip hop. which that's one of the things they bond over. Like it
Right.
wasn't supposed to work, but it did because more background story than you need to know. But the comics in the 70s, both of those comics were declining. They were about to get canceled. They put them together in an issue. It worked. They kept it going. Boom, Heroes for Hire. And it just worked. It worked better with them together. So that's why, like, if you were going to do it, I'm sorry to the Asian dude that wanted to be Danny. It wasn't going to work.
Right.
It just wasn't going to work. The other thing that killed it, in my opinion, was not showing that flipping dragon.
How can you not show? I mean, that's a huge part.
And once again, before people jump on me and say, well, you got to understand they had a budget. Here's how you get around that. Episode 7 of season 1, that's their origin story episode. Animated. Have the beginning of the episode, him telling the story to Jessica Henwick's character, Colleen, and you animate that entire episode. That way you can show Kunlun like it needs to be shown, and you can show Shao Lao the dragon. At the end of the episode, you go back to live action and have him, basically, the whole episode was him drawing what Shao Lao looked like. And boom, end of the episode. And and guess what you just did? You just showed the dragon. And you didn't have to waste money on CG and stuff like that because they have an animation department because they made animated movies before. So you should have just animated that if you didn't have, because the thing that really pissed me off was episode 13 where they had them 2 lights and they tried to make it look like they were dragon eyes.
Yeah, it reminds me of what Guillermo del Toro did in, what was it, Hellboy 2. At the beginning, he's telling the story. There's a flashback sequence where
I remember that.
He's telling the story about the Golden Army and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be like this big, CG thing, but they didn't have it in the budget. And so you get creative. You get creative when you don't have the resources, and that would have been a creative way. Let's even talk about what was it? Kill Bill. The sequence with what's her name?
Lucy Liu's character. Yeah,
Lucy Liu's character. Right. That was supposed to be live action, but they didn't have it in the budget. So they did something really cool and stylized and very memorable about that movie. And they did a whole animated sequence, and it was great. It was like it was meant to be that way.
The best part of that movie.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do. You got to get creative. But if you don't have enough creative people around to figure these things out, that's an issue.
And that's the other thing that got to me because, and I use the analogy of this, it's like having a Doctor Strange show on Netflix, but he doesn't do magic but once an episode.
Right.
What's the point? What's the point? And the thing with Iron Fist is that's kind of how his comic book is, because he deals with that side, the supernatural side of Marvel, more so than Luke does, and Daredevil and Jessica. So I'm like, okay, that's one person that probably shouldn't have been there if you're trying to say we're trying to stay down and dirty with the gritty realism. So let's go on over to Luke Cage. So Luke Cage. Now, I got to give Cheo Coker much credit and that whole team much credit because they brought back them New York undercover vibes. You had live music every episode. I was more hyped to see who was performing that episode. And most of them like, all right, who gonna be on the soundtrack so I can go into YouTube and grab it off of there. So I gotta give them that. Now they did a good job with Luke, in my opinion, of making the origin kind of sort of work. Because the original origin, this happens in 72 or 3.
73, I think, yeah.
So the original origin, you had a hellified racist cop who they had in that origin episode for Luke.
Yeah.
But the problem was they tried to say it was 2010.
Yeah.
And the cop was surrounded by if you go back and watch the episode, it was 2 other black cops in there. They would have beat the dog shit out of that dude the way he was talking.
Right.
Because they was in Georgia. I'm from Georgia. Them cops would have fucked that dude up. I'm sorry. They hate to
They
be
would have
like
sat
that.
there and listened to that.
No,
Yeah.
they just wouldn't have, because he was still doing that 1950s. I'm gonna get your boy. All that
Yeah.
mess. Nobody. No.
You can maybe go up to 1980
Yeah.
something.
But they would have had to have it
once you get to the
subliminal.
90s, that was just like not gonna work.
No, that's not going unless you have. But if you're gonna do it, then let him be around other white.
Right. Yeah,
corrections
that's the
officers. Don't
alternative.
have him like with 3 black dudes back. No.
Yeah.
No.
Nah, that's not gonna happen.
And then the wigs. Oh God, the wigs.
Oh boy. Boy, that was
just let them grow their hair out. If you know you gotta tell them to grow their hair.
Oh man, it just stuck out like a sore thumb. It was just...
man, dude. The only person who's worse on the wigs is Tyler Perry.
Yeah,
that's
true. That is true.
But the problem, as much as I loved Luke Cage seasons 1 and 2, Luke Cage suffered from a problem that most of these seasons had with the MCU stuff. Was there was about 3 or 4 episodes that just did not need to be there. They were boring.
Didn't need it. Yeah.
It made it kind of. I know they were trying to like tell a deeper story, but I'm like, dude, you could have cut that crap out.
Yeah, I mean, it got boring to a point where I just stopped watching for a few weeks.
Yep. Because
I was just so I didn't want to get back into it to finish it and get to the good stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's not good. That's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's a real bad sign. And the other thing with Luke, and especially season one, the first 7 episodes, immaculate.
Yeah.
Until you kill Cottonmouth, which I saw coming a mile away.
Yeah, the death of Cottonmouth is just, oh no. Now what?
And then they bring in his half brother, which would have worked, Diamondback, if they would have took it more from the comic of how he was in the comic. They made this dude laughing too much and mustache twirling villain, and that just did not work.
Yeah, you have this grounded, or you're trying to go for this grounded thing, and then you have this type of villain. It was just like, nah.
Yeah, and I can't knock the actor. He did a good job.
No, he was a fine actor.
It's just like, dude, that they could, what they should have did. That's the time where you actually go look at the comic. I'm like, okay, we just need to bring him like he was in the comic, because in the comic he was a dope boy.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
I'm surprised they didn't go there, because they seem to have figured that out in season 2.
Yeah.
So why didn't they do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
they just didn't realize that at the time.
I guess so. And that brings us to season 2 of Luke Cage, which is probably one of my favorite out of the entirety of the Netflix MCU stuff. And that's because of the villain who ranks up there with Killmonger for me. Except to me, he's better than Killmonger, because and this is going to be a little bit of a side, but where a lot of black people for some reason love Killmonger, but like to ignore the fact that he didn't give a damn about nobody, including the Wakandans.
Oh yeah,
Bushmaster gave a damn.
Yeah,
he only wanted the Stokes. He didn't want nobody else. He wasn't gonna hurt nobody else. Now, if you was in league with Mariah, then you had to get dealt with. But other than that, he actually loved the Harlem community. If you think about it, if Luke would have left him alone, he would have actually cleaned up Harlem.
Yeah.
When you actually sit back and think about it. So that's one of the things that was kind of like, I'm like, okay, I like Bushmaster way more than I like Killmonger for that reason. He actually cared. Killmonger did not give a damn whatsoever.
Yeah. And he wasn't that far from being a origin story for a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, his story was not too different from Batman, you know, like, it's like, nope. So he was so focused on, his focus was revenge, and, that kind of maybe consumed him a little too much. So he couldn't be a good guy. But again, at the end of the day, he was going after bad guys, really bad guys.
Yeah, really messed up in the head bad guys. But that's the thing, like season 2 had like a lot of good themes in it. They had a lot of good acting in it, but once again, it had the issue of there's about 2 episodes in there. I'm like, bruh, I
Yeah.
so don't care. So and those happen to be the hour-long episodes. You're like, yo, okay, I just got to push through it. Let me vacuum and do some laundry and just
Yeah.
push through it because
It wasn't as bad as season 1, but
no, it wasn't as bad as season 1. It was just one of those situations where it was just a couple episodes. You're like, come on, dude, let's get back to it. But
yeah.
they did do 2 solids in that season. One, they made me like Foggy Nelson again. It's amazing what happens when you have a showrunner that actually reads the comics. And 2, they gave us Heroes for Hire. It wasn't but for one episode, but they gave us Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Which is why I think both the Luke Cage and Iron Fist series just shouldn't even. They should have just made Heroes for Hire. I know that's what, because I remember somebody asking Cheo Coker on Twitter, why wasn't they making Heroes for Hire? And apparently that's what he pitched, but they wanted to do Defenders. So
yeah, which they completely failed on.
Yeah, we're getting to that one next. So I mean, we're getting to that one after we get through the Jessica Jones and Daredevil, which brings us to Jessica Jones. And this is why I like season 1 of Jessica Jones. Season 2 and 3, I could care less for. But that's because season 1 has a comic to go by. Season 2 and 3 have nothing to go by. So they have to go off of, the writers. And this is where I'm sitting there like, yeah, this ain't working. Yeah. So season 1 has to deal with the Purple Man. It deals with trauma. It deals with a lot of stuff that I think people don't really want to talk about. And it's hella dark. But the best aspects of the season is Kristen Ritter, Mike Coulter, and David Tennant.
Yeah. And Purple was this, I can't remember, was that before like the big Me Too started? Because
that was right before it started. It was it was right before it started, because season 2 was when it was in full swing.
Which I thought was great because it wasn't influenced by that movement. It bore organically out of the comic itself. So I really like that.
Which, once again, and this is where I have to get a little bit upset with people, because you have those of us who read the comics and know the lore, and then you have those of us who push agendas. So,
oh boy.
And here's the thing. Because I've heard this in the last few weeks, and it's really upset me in the comic world, as it were, as it goes to film and TV. But if you know anything about Jessica Jones, she is linked to Luke Cage. Their relationship is very important to Marvel, because their daughter becomes Captain America.
Oh, wow.
With all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses, which means Danielle Cage can fly. She can't get hit by anything. She's completely invulnerable. She don't really need that shield. It's just for show, which she says in the comics on multiple occasions. She has superhuman endurance and stamina. And on top of that, she's trained by the Iron Fist.
Oh my goodness.
You're not winning that fight.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap before it starts.
It's So there's that. So season 1, I understand, because once again, you have a comic to go by in season 1. So they went that route. And if you read the Alias comic, you know that her and Luke have a kind of like off and on relationship, and then toward the end of the run, you find out they had a one-night stand. She gets pregnant, and boom, there you go. They decide to get married. Matter of fact, one of the last issues is Stan Lee officiating their wedding, which I wish they would have brought Stan Lee on just to but they just kept putting that picture on. I'm like, Stan Lee's alive. Why y'all doing this?
Yeah.
At the time, like, y'all could have brought him on, but that's neither here nor there.
Done it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there. But the first season of Jessica Jones, I loved the first season of Jessica Jones. I thought they did a good job. Of course, there was them two episodes in the middle where they didn't have Tennant on there, but like for 5 minutes, and they didn't have Luca, and they didn't have Mike Coulter. And I'm like, this is it, because everybody else I just didn't care about.
Yeah,
I didn't care about Trish. I really didn't. I tried, man.
That's
I
Trish.
really tried. Because in the comics, it's Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers is her best friend in the comics,
Mhm.
not Trish. So
Yeah.
it,
Well, they
I,
obviously couldn't put
they
Captain
couldn't
Marvel.
do that. Yeah, they could have. They could have, but
Right.
Jeff Loeb and Kevin Feige had emotional issues, and they didn't want to, get over it. So
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they replaced. Uh, what's her name? Replaced Captain Marvel.
uh,
Brie Larson. I wouldn't
Larson?
mind if they replaced Brie Larson with whoever plays Trish. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, but for what they were trying to do, it was kind of like, okay, Trish, I get it, but you no.
Yeah.
No, they're not gonna give you your powers from the comic. No, there's a reason why they call it Hellcat. So
Yeah. That whole setup was odd.
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
it was just odd.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
not a reader of the comic. I just thought, as a general viewer, it's
well,
just strange.
it was because you knew that what they were trying to do, it just wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
It really wasn't gonna work. So even in the other thing that didn't work, if you read the comic, the reason why she was able to beat Purple Man's control was because Jean Grey put a psychic trigger in her mind. Because yes, while the Purple Man does have the power of suggestion over people, his telepathic power ain't about jack.
Mhm.
So really, you get a telepath in there, they can create one that's trained enough, like Jean or Psylocke or Emma. They will be able to create a block to where his powers just don't work. And that's how they did it in the comic. That's how she was able to beat him, because he was trying to use the power of suggestion on her in the comics when he broke out of the raft, and she played along till she was able to get Cap and everybody around, and then she whooped his ass. And
Yeah.
they took him back to the raft because it just wasn't working on her. And he didn't realize it. It was actually a very beautiful way that they did it, because you're like, ooh, dude, you finna catch all this L. So the way they did it in here was, okay, she kills Luke's wife, and when she killed her, that's what made her not be under control. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And if they were going to say, okay, well, we need that, we didn't have the character, the rights to Jean Grey, that's fine. But you do have IGH, the Inhuman Growth Hormone. Just say there was a telepath that was also created in that same thing with Kilgrave, and boom, there you go.
Right.
You ain't even got a name of Jean Grey. Could have named John Grey. Could have made it somebody completely different, but just have a telepath, and that would have made, to me, that would have made more sense than what they actually went and did. Because I mean, that just didn't make any sense. Season 2 and 3, woo. I'm gonna be honest with you. I finally pushed through season 2 and season 3. I'll put it like this: it wasn't made for me. Like I as a comic book fan, I couldn't watch it.
And see, my reaction is different because I'm not a fan of the comic. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed most of it. Like I got a little annoyed with the relationship with the what was he, the landlord or whatever.
Yeah, the landlord. Yeah,
that got a little annoying to me.
Yeah.
And her friend, the black dude.
The
his little storyline was getting on
Malcolm.
my nerves too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Yeah, I liked it better when he was a heroin addict.
Yeah, sadly,
that's
sad
sad.
to say.
Yeah, but his
I didn't like when he became an errand boy for what's her name?
Hogarth or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was my main problem with seasons 2 and 3 was like it was like the odd story decisions.
Yeah.
Like you bring the mom back in season 2, like then you made her crazy. I'm like, oh
yeah, that was yeah.
So I'm
and then, like Trish killing her, and I was like,
which actually made sense, because
that made sense because she was nuts.
Yeah,
but it was just nuts. Awkward. It just felt awkward. It made me feel weird. I don't know.
Yeah, and then season 3, when the whole turnaround happens, and like Trish is the one going crazy, and you're like, what? So yeah, and then they bring And then they do bring Luke in for like an episode,
And the
and
Hogarth thing, like,
yeah, with her catching ALS, and I'm like, while doing cocaine off hookers.
yeah, like what is going on?
Yeah. People is in the season. I'm telling you what I saw, and I'm just like, this makes absolutely no effing sense. All right, so
Yeah.
so this is
But
what happens.
overall, go ahead, sir.
I mean, well, this is what happens when you don't have when you're used to following, when you have something to follow, and now you have nothing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, overall, like I said, I enjoyed it, but there definitely was some issues there.
Yeah. So
again, I'm not a fan of the comics, so I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, as little as I did. So,
and plus, I think the other thing too is I understand that they were trying to show like the PTSD and all of that, but the problem is after that arc, after Alias, Jessica gets better in the comics.
Yeah, like, and that's another thing. I was just annoyed. I'm tired of her being the same person. It's like she's going through some stuff. Shouldn't she be better by now?
Yeah.
Like,
by season 2, she should have been showing signs that she's getting better. And one of the things that helped her to get better was her relationship with Luke, because Luke was the one dude that was like, "Girl, you ain't going nowhere till you talk to me." Like basically, like he wasn't going to like let her just like drink her problems away. Like, nah, you talking to me. You are talking to me. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk this out. Because matter of fact, the funny thing about the Alias comic was the whole reason why her and Luke kind of fell for each other was the fact that she got drunk, flew into his apartment, and he pretty much made her stay there and tell him what was wrong with her. And she went through everything. So much so to the point where Luke was like, look, because once again, the power of suggestion does not work on Luke. It just don't. If Luke Cage was in DC, he'd be a Green Lantern. He'd probably be the strongest one. Because you can't break him. That's the whole thing. His whole mantra is you can't break him. Literally. Right. So the thing was, he was like, look, me and Danny can go out to Killgrave and we'll have this wrapped up before night. And she was like, no, don't go out there. I have to do it. So that was one of those things. That's why I was like, okay, season 2, she's still randomly hooking up with dudes, which once again, I will never understand the female empowerment behind randomly hooking up with dudes that clearly has an STD.
Yeah, like, yeah, come on. Like, there's a better way to prove female empowerment.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not empowerment. That's
because that's not male empowerment. I don't get off by saying dudes jumping a bunch of women in a movie or whatever either. Yeah, so I don't. That's a myth.
Yeah, that myth that I don't understand that. But hey, I'm pretty sure somebody in the comments is gonna be mad at me for saying that.
Yeah, well,
honestly. Don't care. So honestly, don't care. But to me, just in my opinion, and this is my opinion, that's not empowerment. That's not empowering getting with random dudes. Because I'm like, one of them dudes clearly looked like he had STD. Clearly.
Like, why are you messing with these dudes? I was getting upset.
Like, seriously. And the secondly, he ain't doing nothing. Because he's normal. You have superhuman strength.
Yeah, right. How do you go from Luke? How you go from Luke to that? Like, and be satisfied? Come on now. Come on. Yeah. Let's be real.
So if you're gonna go be bound in gritty realism,
right. Like, if you want to do all that and then get to Luke, okay, I can roll with that. But to have Luke and then go to that, like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah, all right, yeah, okay. You would have been calling to Harlem. Anyway, that being said, I understand where Jessica fits in the Defenders thing, because I'm like, okay, you're going grounded. She is basically your detective, your Dick Tracy type detective down in the streets and all that. So that works with your grounded in gritty realism. That one works. So let's go to Daredevil. 3 seasons. Season 1 of Daredevil, masterful. Couple episodes that was just legal drama, but whatever. Yeah, Law and Order, we can deal with that.
Still good.
Yeah, Law and Order, Hell's Kitchen, it was fine. But season 2 is where the problem kind of happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why the problem kind of happens in season 2 is everybody loved the first 4 episodes with the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody liked episodes 5 through 10 with Elektra.
Because I mean, Punisher obviously he brought it up, like, and then you take him away, and it's like, oh, it's not as good now.
Yeah,
It's just that was just going to happen.
Yeah. So that issue with Elektra, I don't blame Eliota Young. I think she did what they. I think that's how they wanted it played. I did not like how Elektra was played like that.
No.
Like she was just this mischievous brat.
Yeah, that was not feeling
Basically.
I don't know her Elektra to be that.
Nah, I know Elektra to kill you for no reason, but I don't know her to be no.
She's definitely an assassin.
Yeah, I have never read Elektra to be a prank playing brat. Basically, I break it into folks' house just cause. So I didn't understand that, and then they brought in the Hand. Now I like the Hand in the comics because they're like an undead ninja. They're like undead ninja zombies. So you could kill them because they just turn into dust. But once again, we're bound in gritty realism. They didn't do that. So it kind of killed, because you could have easily had, okay, this is going to be my fodder for, when we do the Defenders, because everybody knows at this point that these 4 shows are going to make the Defenders, the Netflix version of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, bless their hearts. I mean, bless their hearts for trying. It wasn't a bad idea. It was a good idea, just poorly executed.
Yeah, poorly executed. But now the last 2 episodes of season 2 of Daredevil, those were good, but those were good from an action standpoint, not from a real writing standpoint. Action standpoint, yeah, dude, they did a great job. But then they did the whole Elektra death thing, and there was no bullseye, and there was you're like, yeah, okay, all right, guys, no, okay. So season 2 leads into the Defenders, and I have a love-hate relationship with the Defenders. Mostly hate. No, I have a love-hate relationship with Defenders because I don't think it's bad. I just think they didn't have good writers on this, and they didn't know what they wanted to do. They were told that they got Sigourney Weaver, and they just got too happy.
Yeah, and they were only the Defenders for like 2 episodes.
Yeah, they were
of a show called The Defenders.
Yeah, and that was it's only 8 episodes, by the way. Right. Only 8 episodes, and if you go by the series, it all takes place in like 36 hours.
Yeah,
it is not a long series. So, you have Danny and Luke meet. Well, first you got to get Luke out of prison. That happens. Matt is having conflicted feelings about being Daredevil.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Jessica, who I will say for Defenders, Jessica was the best written character in there. Because she was saying what everybody was feeling and thinking.
Right.
She was saying what the audience was thinking. Like, this is stupid. This is dumb. Like,
she was the audience.
Yeah, because so Luke, like, I don't want to fight, do nothing. And Jessica, like, will you come on so we can just get this over with, please? We are the 2 strongest people here. Can we just get this done? Can we just get this done? And you, as an audience member, is like, yes, thank you.
I agree. Tell him, Jesse.
Like, then one of the coolest things Jessica Jones does in the series is in episode 4, where they having that little dinner thing, and like, bless Charlie Cox, he called himself gonna fight Luke. I'm like, dude, this ain't gonna end well for you, bro. This ain't gonna end well for you, bro.
It's not gonna end well. No.
Danny, you better tell him this ain't gonna end well.
Quit playing, man. Quit playing.
But she leaves because they piss her off, like normal. And at the end of the episode, they pretty much get surrounded. She throws a Ford Explorer at Elektra. Yes. So much yes. And then, not only does she do that, she walks by and ice grills her. She ice grilled her when she walked by. I'm like,
afterwards.
I'm like, oh, snap.
Yeah, I just threw a truck at you, huh?
So I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, like they had moments where you're like, this is cool. This is cool. But then they screw it all up. I'm like, okay, so they kidnapped one of the 5 fingers of the hand, which honestly, those were not the 5 fingers of the hand. I'm just gonna go and tell y'all that right now. Those are 5 actors that they found that they wanted to put in this series. Those are not the 5 fingers of the hand. The 5 fingers of the hand all have powers. None of them did. So,
no.
And
so easy.
Yeah, I'm like it messed it up. I'm sorry, it messed it up because you have the Iron Fist. He has an ability. You have Luke and Jessica. They have abilities. Daredevil, he has an ability, but let's be honest, it really ain't an ability.
No,
just
it's just super sight, and he can use a ninja. But that's about
that's about it. So you kind of need some. Then I was like, okay, they can put
super hearing, I should say, not sight. Super hearing.
Yeah, so you got this, and you're like, okay, well now you can actually put villains with powers. Not they decided not to do that. They let them fight. Who one of my favorite characters out of all of this is Madame Gao.
She was great.
The lady, the actress that plays her, is 83 years old.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot she could do. She's a great actress, but not a whole lot she could do there.
Now, if you want to leave her as the grand manipulator, I'm all for that. But the
second you out there trying to throw punches, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, so that was another of my issues with it. I'm like, okay, you guys have you got the right. If you want to have them deal with the hand, fine. But my other problem with Defenders was Luke Cage and Jessica Jones has nothing to do with this story. Their series did nothing to set that up. Now, Iron Fist and Daredevil did. So my question is, if you know you're going to Defenders, why didn't you have the man in the white hat, Sawande, go into Luke Cage? Why? Because he's the African dude, and he should have been from Wakanda, but we're not going to get into that. So he should have been in Luke Cage at some point. Either Madame Gao or have somebody else show up in Jessica Jones so we can have some part
a reason for them to be there.
Because literally there is no reason for Luke and Jessica to be there outside of the fact that Jessica dude got killed in Jessica's apartment, and Luke was trying to find out why black kids in Harlem was working for this dude. Yeah, that's it.
That was,
and there was
reasons, but they weren't strong enough.
Yeah, there were flimsy reasons. So, there's. I don't know if they were told that look, you only got this much money, so you got to do this. I'm like, okay.
I just think it's a situation where you just get caught up in what you have and not realizing at the moment what you don't have. Like it's like we have all these characters, we can put them all together. Let's not focus too much on the details of why. Let's just have them all on the screen fighting. That's what the fans want, right?
Nah, because y'all done set this up, and the problem was no, because y'all have set this up with some good stuff. Yeah, there's been good. There was good writing in seasons 1 of Daredevil, season 1 of Jessica Jones, season 1 of Luke Cage. We're not gonna talk about Iron Fist, and season 1 anyway. I thought season 2 of Iron Fist was way better.
Season 2 was good. Yeah, season 2 was good.
Season 2 was way better, but
rough.
I mean, it was rough to get through. But they had good setups for stuff that they were going to do. So no, we wanted to hear the interaction, but the problem was the interaction should have happened before episode 4 in that restaurant. It should have happened in like episode 2 of an 8-episode series, because like you said, they don't feel like they're the Defenders until episode 7 and 8. And even then, it's kind of like, oh, we're going to get a season 2. Not after that, you ain't.
No, not necessarily there.
Yeah. I'm like, y'all would have came out better just doing a Defenders movie. Because Netflix does do movies.
That would have been perfect, I think.
Yeah, this is one of them situations where they shouldn't have did a series. They should have just did a movie.
A movie. You called it. That's way better.
That way you don't have to worry about filling time, because some of that stuff was filling time, and you can bring them together quicker, because that's what they should have done. Now, at this point, I had a person ask me, well, shouldn't the Punisher have been with them? Yes and no. Because one, the Punisher's just gonna kill everybody, and Luke ain't got time for that. Luke don't want to kill nobody.
Sitting there trying to stop him from killing everybody.
So that would have been an issue. And plus, Daredevil don't like killing either. And you're like, bruh, like Jessica and Danny, like, oh, look, if that's gonna get this dude to stop, kill him.
Right.
But Luke and Luke and Matt is just like they're not gonna do that. So and my thing is I'm like that's unrealistic when you fighting
and I don't want to
undead
see that
ninja
again.
zombies.
I mean, we saw that. We saw Daredevil trying to stop Punisher for
Yeah.
a bunch of episodes. Do we really want to see that for that series? Like
No.
them, the non-killers trying to stop the killers of the group? Like that's just boring.
Yeah, that is boring. And then they had to have that inevitable the defenders fight each other with Danny and Matt fighting, and you're like, dude. First of all, if you're going by the comic, Danny Rand will mop the floor with
yeah. I love Daredevil, but let's be real.
Let's be real here. He's the Iron Fist for a flipping reason, and that's the other thing that I felt like they never let Finn Jones actually be the dragon he's supposed to be. Because when in the comics, when you don't really kill Shao Lao, you pretty much just show Shao Lao that you can fight him, and you have to plunge your hands into his heart. When you do that, another Shao Lao is born basically, and he has to grow up to become the giant dragon that he is. Because Shao Lao in the Marvel universe, there's 66 dragons. Shao Lao's the strongest one out of all of them. So you stick your hands in his heart, and you get the power of the Iron Fist. But you're supposed to keep training to, keep up the skill, because you unlock new levels of ability and all that stuff the more you use it, until it's time for you to give it up, which is usually coincides around the time that Shao Lao becomes back to a full dragon again. Usually they've changed it, of course, because of reasons in the comics, but you get the gist of it. The problem with what they did in trying to make it so down to earth and gritty, they try to make him have like, oh well, he can't win every fight. No. No. No, he pretty much wins every fight. It's when it comes down to it. He has fought Luke in the comics, and it was revealed that Luke was holding back because he didn't know if he was going to actually kill him or not if he punched him as hard as he could. Because Luke in the series did not do any of the stuff that he does in the comics, like the thunderclap, the ground pound. They didn't give him his chain. I'm like,
they wanted to make him more grounded, like you said.
And my thing is, I'm like, bruh, I don't want. I know what this do. Don't give me grounded. Give me what I want. So, but they weren't. The way they set it up, I had to go by the rules they set up. So I'm like, okay, fine, but you still need to have the character traits from the source material, and Danny just didn't have it. And I don't blame Finn Jones for that. I don't think any actor.
I mean, how can you?
Because first of all, he had a limited time before he got to train, before he even when he got the part. That's facts. But if you saw Defenders and then you saw Iron Fist season 2, he got better.
Oh yeah, you can tell he got better.
Especially by when in Luke Cage season 2, when you episode 10, that's the Hero's Fire. Go watch it. You will like Finn Jones after that.
Yeah.
You will, because you're like, dang, man, Cheo Coca got him right. Yeah, because he knows the character. That's their interaction. And you were like, okay, why are you leaving? Stay for the rest of this. You ain't doing nothing. Stay for the rest of this.
Yeah, might as well finish it out.
Yeah. So, because at that point, it's only 2 more episodes to go after that.
Yeah, it was like 2 episodes.
Yeah, so dude, you could have stayed. So, that's my issues with that. I'm like, because I thought Defenders could have been so much better if they would have just. I'm like, if Netflix, if you knew they were going to do Defenders, you should have gave them a little bit more. You should have.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
You should have. So to me, it was kind of like Netflix was like, okay, we need something to make people watch. Well, Marvel looking for a place to put some shows. Well, let's get them then. Everybody signed up. All right, cool.
Now what?
So
now let's figure out what we're gonna do with these people.
So that was just blowing me. Now Punisher, I liked Punisher for what they were doing as far as the themes of it, and the themes of Punisher was basically having to deal with anybody that has family in the military and they've been deployed and they come back. sometimes you see some stuff that they go through and it's kind of heartbreaking. They dealt with that in Punisher, and I like the way they dealt with it. The only problem that I had was this dude is not Wolverine.
No.
Which means he can't get shot no 30 damn times. Because that was not just a bulletproof vest he had on. He was getting shot in the arms and legs, and he's still like just mad.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
No. He doesn't have powers.
Yeah. He does not have a healing factor.
No.
Now they did do a good job of actually showing like while he's not on a strategist level like Captain America, if you give Frank Castle time, he will jack you up.
Yeah.
He will set you up nasty. Now, the other problem with Frank is Frank don't understand that he needs to be more like John Wick and less like Kratos from God of War. If they already dead, you don't need to keep killing them.
No. Yeah, you don't got to do that, bro.
This fool wasted so many grenades and bullets because he kept killing people. I'm like, bro, you shot him in the head.
He's just trying to make a point. That's all.
He ain't getting up. Like, he dead. His eyes are rolled in the back of his head. Why are you still shooting him? There was an air conditioning vent where his chest used to be. But I will say this: John Bernthal, he freaking nailed it. I know a lot of people don't like the Thomas Jane Punisher. I personally think he did a good job as Frank Castle, and I think John Bernthal is right up there in my opinion.
Yeah, anything wrong with the Punisher from what's his name? You just said his name.
Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane, and it wasn't him.
No,
it was everything around him. It wasn't. Yeah. He was great as Punisher.
They just didn't do a good job with the Saints and Sinners storyline. That's all. They just did not do a good job with it. I mean, but they did what they could, and like I said, I thought they did a good job. Yeah, and I thought they did a good job with what they had. You know, so seeing John Bernthal to me, he wrecked it. I'm like, bro.
Oh, he killed it.
Because I had my concerns about Shane, man.
Yeah, your boy from Walking Dead is gonna be the Punisher. I don't know about that, bro.
And then I'm like, I saw that
shut me right on up.
That rooftop argument in Daredevil season 2. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yep, this is Frank. This is
Frank Castle.
Yeah, this is Frank. This is pissed off Frank that don't want to talk, and you making him talk. So I enjoyed that. Now, here's the thing.
I had one major issue with
what was
season 2 specifically? Jigsaw, man.
Oh yeah, because that's not Jigsaw. That was a supermodel. He was still a male model. I'm like, it's kind of like
a couple scratches on his face, and that was pretty much it. Like, what?
And my thing is, the scratches they put on his face, women would still go after him. Like, you took him to the club, women would still be like, "Girl, I like that." What?
He got his own thing going, you know.
I can save him.
Yeah, he was just too pretty.
I'm like
too pretty and with scratches.
You know what? It's the Andrew Garfield situation. Nobody believed in freaking Amazing Spider-Man that dude was Peter Parker.
He was a good Spider-Man, but he was not Peter Parker. Sorry.
No,
bro.
I'm like, nobody believed that. I'm like, bro, he's a model. He's a male model. He gonna get any woman he want.
Calvin Klein model. You know?
Yeah, like, he's going to get any woman he want. You sitting up here trying to tell me this dude is shy and stuttering. Nobody believes this.
Yeah, no.
And that was the problem with Ben Barnes. Ben Barnes plays Jigsaw, and they literally put like 3 scratches on his face. I'm like,
after all that after all that glass,
I'm like,
his face.
I'm like,
in the season 1, like, come on.
Like, first of all, ain't Jigsaw supposed to have way more? Like, it's supposed to look like he patches his skin back on his face.
He's supposed to look like some Frankenstein monster, basically.
Yeah. Hence, they called him Jigsaw.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, I guess he's supposed to be menacing and scary, and I'm like, that's Prince Caspian.
Yeah. Get a good voice actor and get some, no-name guy to play him, because he's gonna have his face covered up most of the season.
Yeah.
And then, then show his face,
And you know who I want to do the voice acting? James Earl Jones, of course.
Well, yeah, that would be great.
Bro, if you want somebody to get scared, Darth Vader was scared the crap out of you. Darth Vader and Mufasa scares the crap out of people.
Keith David voice too.
Yeah, Keith David or James Earl Jones. That's who you want to do, because you will be scared. You will be frightened after that.
Right.
So,
and he should have been messed up. Like, he should have been really messed up. So, having some voice actor do it would have been fine.
Yeah. But once again, I get where they were trying to go, because they were trying to go with the whole PTSD and leaving stuff unfinished, and trying to integrate back into society after you. Because basically, Frank was he wasn't like SEAL Team 6, but he was basically one of those dudes that, hey, when stuff hit the fan, we send his team in.
Right.
Because he was a Marine, but when stuff hit the fan, hey, send in Frank. So that's what it was. So you're like, okay, I get, like, the stuff with John Bernthal I liked. This was the stuff with everybody else in that unit I didn't like. Even the black dude that was supposed to have been the
Asian chick, and how she was falling for.
Oh, that was so dude. That was so cliched.
Yeah.
For once, Hollywood, we don't need a damn love story in every damn action movie, superhero movie. We don't need a love story. Y'all didn't put one in Captain Marvel, and it worked.
Right.
There was not one love story in Captain Marvel. But you want to know what story a love story did not help? Aquaman. So you don't have to put a love story in every damn show. Trust me, the women don't come watch it anyway.
You need to replace her too. Amber Heard's got to go.
Well, she did that to herself. But but yeah, those things, like, that's why I'm like, we gotta talk about this, because I'm like, dude, it seems to me like it would have been easy to fix if they would have listened to somebody else. Mm-hmm. Somebody had to say that. Somebody had to say these things to them when they was in the production meetings.
Yeah, I mean, they probably just ran them because it's like, they had nothing else. It was like, this is good filler, this whole relationship aspect. So that's what they did. They just ran with it.
Yeah. Who are the two prettiest people in this series? Well, that's them two right there. Yeah, make them fall in love. What? Yeah. That's what it felt like.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They hot. Hot people have sex. So yeah, get to it. Y'all fall in love.
With her ambition, you think she would be wasting her time trying to get with some dude?
No. Not the way they set her up. No,
not the way they set her up. That's what I meant. Like,
nah. She was just trying to get a one night stand. Okay, but she wasn't finna. Yeah. No, she wouldn't be trying to thirsting after this dude. No. Nah. Now she probably tried to use her position of power too, But I'm just saying,
right?
She wasn't gonna fall in love with this dude. Point is, she wasn't gonna fall in love with the dude. She was just gonna. Right. She was gonna get what she wanted and get the hell out of my bed. Here go $10 for Uber. Go. That's what she would have did. Bounce. He would have felt dirty, and she wouldn't have gave a damn. So I mean, that's how that whole situation would have went if they would have did it. But they tried to make it where she was thirsty, and I'm like, that does not compute.
Yeah, no, I can't roll with that.
This ain't no Karen Page, Matt Murdock thing that y'all can like set up for like 2 seasons, and Matt still don't do nothing. Dumbass. So
is you stupid?
I mean, hey, I know Luke and Danny wouldn't have had a problem.
Okay.
They got coffee all the time.
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee. But yeah, that was just one of those. Those just those things. Is like, okay, dude, look, I know y'all want grounded and gritty realism, but come on, man, that y'all picked the wrong people. So if I was recasting Defenders, I would probably keep Jessica and Matt, but I would make in the Jessica story, I would make where Luke shows up, he'd be like a what's the name I'm looking for? A secondary, tertiary character in her series. But I would have probably either went with Moon Knight, because he has powers, but you can play with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I would have went, and I know people will probably get mad at me for saying this, but I probably either would have went with Blade, or I would have just went with Punisher and just left him as that. Now I know that isn't a true Defenders roster, but you got to go with people who are grounded. If you're going,
and it's not like they were worried about being authentic to the comic. And
Trust me, they weren't. So
right,
outside
so
of
they could play with it a little bit.
outside of Daredevil, they weren't. Like Daredevil was probably the only one that was close. Like Luke, kinda, but outside of Jessica Jones season 1, the only one they cared about getting right, in my opinion, was Daredevil, which they did.
Yeah,
for the most part, because I still hate what they did with Foggy. But
yeah.
I just think they over cliched him. But so that's it for this therapy session. I just had to get that off my chest. Don't worry,
get it off my chest.
we got another couple of these going. X-Men, you gonna get it when I get my hands on you. But we're doing DC next, so we're gonna look at the DC stuff next, because I think I'm gonna be 100% honest. As far as DC is concerned, I think there's some stuff there. If they just would have had somebody to say, okay, even if this movie fails, we're not going to change our mind. We're going to stay on path.
And here's the thing: none of the movies failed. They might not have done as well as they would have liked, but none of those movies failed.
But the problem was, what were they comparing it to?
And they shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, they shouldn't have did that. So in their eyes, they would be like, "Oh, they failed." No, not really. People are enjoying your stuff, but you can't change your
Batman
mind.
and Superman.
Yeah,
they're outside of Batman and Superman. DC's comics characters don't have the same kind of like commercial appeal.
No, they just don't.
They don't have the commercial appeal of a Spider-Man
or the X-Men or something like that.
Yeah, or the X-Men. So you were on a monetary level that was indicative of who you are. It was good for what you are, but they wanted that Marvel. That was the main problem. They chased that Marvel money too much.
And the problem was Marvel had people act like Marvel didn't have bad movies. They did.
Oh yeah, they did.
They just didn't care that you was mad about it as a fan, because they knew where they were going. They were going toward Infinity War, so they knew where they were going. You could get mad all you want to.
Iron Man 2, yeah, so what? Thor: The Dark World, so what?
Yeah, so what? Okay, you
still gonna
really
watch?
You really mad? Hey, drop that Captain America, Winter Soldier. Oh, you still mad? Drop Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, you still mad? You still mad? Ant-Man, drop that. Oh, you don't like Ant-Man? Go to the theater. Just go watch it.
All right, go watch it.
Oh, you like it? Oh, y'all want us to do another one? That's what I'm saying. But like. And I'm going to be honest, like, even though the movie made a lot of money, that movie to me was stupid for them to have it. And that was Batman v Superman, because of the simple fact that the theatrical cut of that film is horrible. I'm not talking about
save it. We got to go into that.
Yeah. But that's that, because there's some more stuff y'all really gonna get mad at me when we do the DC show. Y'all get mad at me about Zack Snyder, but yeah, that's that. But I digress, because that'll jump to a whole another 3 hours podcast. So, T, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, it's good to hear that some of the shows might be coming back, like you said earlier before we get on. But for the most part, I liked what they were doing there. There was obviously some missteps, but it was a good start, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't and to be completely honest, I liked most of what they did. I just didn't like I hated when they kept saying grounded in gritty realism. I don't like that, because to me
I blame Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, and I understand why Christopher Nolan did what he did.
Right, it worked for what he was doing.
Yeah, it worked for what he was doing, but everybody else, that don't work. You can't. The Arrowverse showed it well. You cannot have a grounded Batman in a world where the Flash exists.
Yeah.
The Arrowverse showed that's where that messes up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you introduce this grounded Arrow, but then you throw in Barry Allen, who's running at the speed of light.
Right.
It don't compute. So you have to it's a little bit of give here. If you're gonna go with this comic book world, there's gonna be some times you're gonna have to be like, okay, man, we can't do gritty realism. We're gonna have to show this dude wilding out with his powers.
Right.
Because that's what they have. And last thing before I get out of here, There's one thing in Luke Cage that I did not understand. In 2008 Hulk, Incredible Hulk movie, Incredible Hulk fights Abomination in Harlem. That never gets brought up.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about it.
It never got brought up. They keep bringing up 2012 when the aliens attacked, but that was supposed to only been that was only supposed to be held in Midtown. They never got out of Midtown.
What they kept calling the incident or whatever.
Yeah, the incident.
They
Feige
barely
and Loeb.
they tried to do a little bit of tie-in. I think they just did the best they could, and they didn't want to get too buddy with it. So
my thing is, you had a tie-in that you didn't even have to bring back up because we know Hulk wasn't gonna show up. So I
just feel like a lot of people don't even remember Hulk 2008.
Man, that was
sadly
a good movie though. Man, them last 30 minutes.
I'm just saying, a lot of people don't talk about it. And
yeah,
it's seen as a failure, commercial
freaking
failure.
Freaking Paramount haters. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it kind of went a little bit long, but I promise you the DC one's going to go even longer. So
and get your popcorn. It's going to be all right.
It's going to be, you're going to be in for a treat. But hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be coming back with DC next. Then we're going to do Fox's X-Men because I'm an X-Men fan. And Bryan Singer can so him and Simon Kinberg, you mother. So until next time, peace.
Peace.